Why you're doing that is because you know your one friend who's not your friend, Mr. Bottle, Mr. Alcohol.
Yeah.
You can turn to your friend down there whenever you want.
Right, because
And
when you
he's
told
throwing
me
back good flashbacks right now.
you had told me when in a time there was no reason not to tell me your true feelings of how you felt down there and how lonely you were and how, that whole thing. But then when it came to the bottle, then you were like, oh no, I didn't feel that way. I didn't, I should have stayed down there. What was wrong with me?
Yeah, the reason why it was, I can tell you, things came out, of the drinking and, almost the death, and then, come back home and, I'm going to take over the job at the radio station I started at. And then that was just not what it was cracked up to be. And everything started, in my mind, falling apart. Mm-hmm. Instead of learning
the bottle or
learning how do I cope, and maybe more therapy, who knows, but I thought I'm not depressed. I remember you telling me, Corey, I think you're depressed. I'm not depressed, I'd say. I clearly was, but I didn't know how to deal with it. I had not learned that, and of course that was before I really started going to treatment.
And see, had I not known you as good as I did, I wouldn't have been able to say, Corey, I think you're depressed. And I don't know this father, how well he knows his son, but maybe he doesn't know his son well enough to tell him, this is why I think you're doing this, or, you might be depressed, or this or that. But,
yeah, and it's tricky because you don't want to just come out and tell somebody, hey man, you're an addict.
I know, but there was the time, that I did say that to you. I didn't quite put it like that, but you got to watch out for your drinking. You're really drinking a lot.
I wonder if...
That was probably, 20 years ago, maybe?
I wonder if you would have said, hey, Corey, have you ever heard of recovery? I've been like, what do you mean, like from surgery? But I mean, like...
But I hadn't myself. I was just as baffled by it. Although, you had told me maybe 3 or 4 years before that, when you were living down the road when you were roommating with this guy friend of yours, and you had a lonely time, and you came to my house and you were crying, and I think you wanted to move back home, and you said, Mom, help me. I want you to help me. I am pretty sure, I don't know how much of that story you want out there, so I'm not going to tell the whole thing, but I'll tell this part. You're like, Mom, will you please help me? And you had been drinking that, and I think you had a whole bottle of vodka or something. But that's not really funny, but I don't know.
There's different
why it
sizes,
funny.
is why I laugh.
Yeah, I know. The whole bottle.
But anyway.
But it wasn't one of those super big ones, according to what you said. But I promised you at that time that I would help you. So I always felt, and then you, of course, days later, everything's fine, and you moved back home. But, you didn't need any more help. You solved it. And so, okay. But as the years went on, you hadn't solved it. And I made that promise to you that I would help you. So there was something about that just stuck with me, And I was like, I know he doesn't want to be like that because he's indicated that a long time ago. And then as you came home, it was obvious. And, it was obvious to everyone after a while. It's like even the other family members that probably drink a little too much would notice it and stuff. So, everybody's situation is different. And I know Marnie talks too about her mom and I went through the same similar situations and stuff. But even though we both stuck through it, went through similar things, our situations were still different, So that's why, as far as giving other parents advice, I don't know. I think there should be special counseling for parents other than telling them to just go to Al-Anon. Al-Anon's a support group. But no one there you have a leader of the support group. but not one person there is professional. They won't give you professional advice. They won't tell you. They just say you have to, learn how to fix yourself. Well, what if you really aren't broken? Just because your child is, does that absolutely mean you're broken? You're there because you care about your child and you want to help your child. But how do you cope? What do you do? Well, I was telling Marnie what I got out of those classes basically was the most I got out of it was the brochures I took home with me. I learned tons of stuff about alcoholics and so on just from the brochures. Things I didn't know, like you don't argue with an alcoholic, or if somebody's drunk or messed up, getting in an argument with them or getting pissed off at them at that time, and if I did have a parent that I would give advice to like that, it's just don't talk to them right then. Wait until the next day or so. Approach them carefully and don't judge them. Don't point the finger at them, or make them feel guilty. They never want to be made to feel guilty because they will stop coming around you. They'll quit talking to you. They'll close you out. Never hide their alcohol. Never hide their whatever it is they're using. They always know how to get more. And they'll hide it really good. And so don't even try those things. You're not going to, there have been times when I've been at his house. Yeah, I poured it out because I was also going to be staying there. And I didn't want to have it continue this crazy train that he would be on until he'd sober up. And so, yeah, I'm going to dump it so he doesn't drink it, but I'm not dumping it to stop him from overall drinking, because just dumping out 2 bottles isn't going to solve him from not being an alcoholic.
No, but be careful with that, because that could cause somebody to have seizures and possibly die.
To that extent.
So just, be careful.
Well, if they're going to have seizures, my advice is don't coax them through like that. I think that never worked as good with you. What you need to do is call an ambulance, or realize that if you're going to do that, they are going to go through withdrawals depending on the degree of their alcoholism or their addiction.
If you call the ambulance, just remember too, the hospital will kick you out as soon as they can, because they will tell you that they're not a detox. And
never use the word detox. Don't say I want to come detox. Say that they're withdrawing, because there's a difference. And withdrawing, you can actually die. And anything you look up online will tell you if you should never detox or withdraw alone without somebody in the house. And that person needs to be ready to call an ambulance. And it's a serious thing. So hospitals know that. And if you use the right wording with them, they know darn well.
How'd that work out in South Haven?
Well,
no,
you really weren't that bad off that time, though. No, really, seriously.
Yeah, but still, it depends what day you go, who's working, and
right, what wording you use. But it's tough. But don't give up on the hospitals. Actually, I think your person, your child, your loved one, whatever it is, going to get pissed off after a while of getting taken back to the damn hospital again. But whoops, I guess we're not supposed to swear. But sorry, Corey's mom.
Not really a swear word, but
anyway, if you dump their alcohol and they start withdrawing, don't mess around with it and don't wean them off it. That's my advice, because that really didn't work very well. Just get them to a hospital. Niles Hospital wasn't the greatest. They were aggravated, but they did take you in, and most of the time they would get you on the IV and get you down to a certain level before they let you go. St. Joseph was the best at it of the 3 hospitals we went to. It depends, like you say, the day, the time, who you see, who's with you, like me being there, putting my foot down saying, "Are you kidding? Got to keep this man." Put him in the psych ward.
That's why you say they're the best, because they put me in the psych ward.
Oh, man. Me and this one nurse, we worked so hard. Because most of the time, they would always tell me, no, you didn't need it. And you knew how to BS your way around doctors, too, and tell them things they wanted to hear. But this one nurse, who I called her my angel, she pulled strings. She called hospital administrators. She did everything she could to get you in rehab, or to get you to go down there, because I thought, and just from what they told me about what that ward was, it's a place to mentally get yourself in the right place mentally. I didn't realize it was like, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, the movie. I know people make fun of, when they're making fun of somebody, they say something about One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. But if you watched the movie, the people that were in that hospital were seriously mentally ill.
And you know this because you got to visit me.
Right,
so
right.
It's not like you're just like...
But I mean, the movie was a good movie.
Yeah.
And it showed the mental things that people actually go through. And it also shows how the institution actually kind of caused some of it too. But
I had a good time in
there. But this one, when I say it's like that, it's the people in there were kind of like that and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, it wasn't the place you need to go, but it's still, even though that wasn't the final ping, it was still ping, ping, pinging you along the way.
Yeah.
I became your worst nightmare because I want to say the word DAM again, but you're like, oh, can't I just get drunk without this woman coming in my face and getting on me? And every time I get away and think I'm like, all of a sudden Mom could come knocking on your door. Corey, get up, wake up. Are you okay in there?
Yeah, that had to be frustrating for you, though.
Well, it's like, you know what? To me, it felt like reaching down in the ditch, muddy ditch, grabbing you by the coat strings, or the straps are pulling you up, getting you out of the ditch. You had to get the mud off yourself. Next thing you know, I start going on with my life, and there's Corey. He went right back to the ditch, fell in, slipped right down in. It's like, well, don't you know what got you down there? First place, dang it, get up. And then I come back, and that's me calling the cops, go do the well check, and then get you back on the shore again, and then on and on it kept going. I'm not giving myself credit, but I'm just saying, as the parent, I was a pain in your ass.
Yeah, and see, like I
felt
have...
like. But I meant to be, and I'm glad I was.
I have a different approach because I've been through it. I know, and I don't have, skin in the game with these people. Like when I say these people, people I've met along the way are people who have reached out for help, and I don't, if they go relapse, I can't judge them, and I don't have time to, and I just pray and I hope they're doing well. But sometimes they'll call me and they're feeding me BS, and it doesn't do me any good to call them out. I realize that, it doesn't do me any good to get mad. If they want it, if they want to hang out, if they want to just talk, give me a call. But I don't need to be BS'd by somebody, and I had a guy call and he left me this message and he was blasted. And I talked to him a couple days later and he was like, yeah, but I haven't drank. Yeah, well, that's good. I'm glad you hadn't drank, and I guess he had forgot he had left me that message. And then, I don't know, a couple weeks later, he called back and he was like, oh, well, I did drink. And I'm like, yeah, I know.
At least he was reaching out for help himself
but
somewhere.
I could have been like, no, you liar, but I don't have that kind of attachment. I'm your son. Of course you're going to, you can't just go, yeah, okay.
Well, he's down in that muddy ditch again.
Yeah, I think that changes the things
that ditch out there where your little nephews get the frogs. Picture that ditch. You've seen them in the mud and the slime all over them. That's you getting down. And we keep telling them, get out of the ditch. You can't go play in the creek. And they're always playing in the creek and getting the mud on them, but they love it. And that was you, But we love them, so we want them to stay out of the creek. keep that mud off. And it's the same thing with you. Or that guy, yeah, you're not gonna like, it's his creek, his smell on him,
right?
His contamination or whatever.
But it's totally different.
And I made a promise to you, like I said, that one.